So you've decided to get your real estate license. Congratulations! And now it's time to get to work. So where do you get started? How do you know what to do? And where do you go to get your real estate license?
Excuse me, where's everybody going?
And in today's video, I'm going to answer those questions and share so much more, including 8 steps to getting your real estate license. Hey, welcome to the channel. I'm Jeff Ruby, a realtor, team leader, and success certified coach working with real estate agents to help you launch, build, and scale profitable businesses. And today we are talking about how to get a real estate license. The first thing that I'll start off with is getting a real estate license is simple, it's not easy. And what I mean by that, it's a simple step-by-step process, but you have to do the work. And in many cases, the work may not be that easy.
Try harder.
However, what I can tell you is all worth it.
Tell me!
Because realtors on average earn a salary of over $80,000 a year. Now, to some of you, that may seem like a lot of money, and to others of you, it may not seem like a lot. However, it's important to understand that there's virtually no limit to the amount of money that a real estate agent can make.
I like to make money.
Once someone completes the required licensing for their state, the sky's the limit.
All right, give me the money!
Of course, the process, cost, timeline, and qualifications differ from state to state, so it's important to understand exactly what it's going to take to get started in this career. So let's jump right in and get started selling some real estate.
Put it in!
Number 1, research your state's licensing and education requirements. As I mentioned before, the requirements for education and licensing is different from state to state. So make sure to check with your state's real estate commission to establish exactly what the requirements are. Most states require a few things. Number 1, permanent residency in the state of application. Number 2, a minimum age of 18 years old or older. And number 3, a criminal background check. Classes for school can be held in person or online. But what's really important is to make sure that the courses are approved and accredited by your state. The last thing you want to do is pay for a school and find out later on that it's not accredited with your state, and then you have to start all over.
Just wanted to make sure we're on the same page.
So make sure and check with your state's licensing authority. Number 2 is completing the education requirements. Becoming a real estate agent requires time and money. So you want to make sure and understand what you'll need to budget in order to get started. For example, some pre-licensing schools meet once or twice a week, and others, especially the online courses, allow you to move and work at your own pace. So understand what your options are and choose the one that works best for you. In addition to your state's specific requirements, the cost of pre-licensing can change and vary from state to state. So you can expect to pay anywhere between $200 and $1,000 for your education. If you'd like a quick guide that shows you the number of hours that are required per state, there's a link down in the description where you can get that. After you've completed all of the required education, it brings us to number 3, and that is applying for the real estate licensing exam in your state. Once you feel comfortable with all the information that you've learned and you've taken the required pre-testing exams, you can schedule your exams. At this point, you'll need to pay an application fee and register with a third party such as PSI. This is where you'll usually pay an application fee and register to take your test through a third party. Some states don't actually require that you finish all of the prerequisite education before you take your exam. This speeds up the time it takes you to complete getting your license because you can take your exams and finish up with some of the classes afterwards. Now, don't confuse this step with applying for your license. You're going to do that after you pass your real estate exams.
Not yet.
Which brings us to number 4, passing the real estate exam. And now it's time to actually go take the exam.
Good luck.
So making sure that you're adequately prepared to take the exams will increase the likelihood and chances that you pass the first time around. Now, I didn't pass the first time. It actually took me 3 times to get through it, but I did, and I've gone on to sell hundreds and hundreds of homes over an 18-year career.
That's a lot of high numbers. That means stuff.
In most states, the test consists of approximately 100 multiple choice questions and cover national and state principles and laws when it comes to real estate. Usually, a 70% is a passing grade in most states. And again, it does vary from state to state, so make sure and check what the passing marks need to be. These tests can take anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours, just depending on how well you study, how well you know the material, and how well of a test taker you are. I'm not a great test taker, so it took me a lot longer than most people, but that may be different for you. There's also an exam fee, so be prepared to pay anywhere from $15 to $100 to go in and take the exam. Again, in most states, in order to go take the exam, you'll need to provide proof of your education requirements and the fulfillment of those requirements. Once you pass your exams, you'll then get your exam score, and you'll be able to submit this information to get your license.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Which brings us to our next step. And that's step number 5, applying for your license. As I mentioned before, once you've passed your exams, you'll need to present your test scores, your application, and of course the application fees. This can cost anywhere between $50 and $250. And you may be required to undergo a background check, which costs anywhere between $40 and $100. So make sure you're budgeting your expenses when you start planning on exactly what you're going to do to get your license. Some states do require you to get errors and omissions insurance up front. This is insurance that protects real estate agents from lawsuits that may arise from situations with buyers and sellers. These are just things that happen sometimes. In some cases, brokers will provide errors and omissions insurance for you as a new agent, and in other cases, you may need to establish insurance on your own. So make sure and look into it.
I'll take that into consideration.
In every state, you need to be at least 18 years old, have a GED or high school equivalent education, and authorized to work in the United States. And in most cases, to be an in-state resident of the state that you're applying for your license in. Once you've submitted your application, your license may take anywhere from a week to a month. What you'll need to do is check in with your licensing authority in your state, find out what their wait times are, and don't be afraid to follow up and see where your application is in the process. Which brings us to number 6, and this is finding a real estate brokerage. Now, while you're in the process of waiting for your license to be issued, you can go out and start interviewing brokerages. See, this is a lot different than having a job where you're going on interviews. When you're a real estate agent, you're actually going and interviewing the brokerages that you're considering joining. And what this does, it allows you the opportunity to make a choice that fits best for you and your business.
Make up your mind.
It's also important to keep in mind that for the first 3 years that you have your license, you will be required to work for a brokerage. You can't go out and start your own brokerage right away. Now, I know some of you are thinking, oh man, that's what I wanted to do. Just know that this is for your protection as well as for your clients to be working with a brokerage for 3 years. After that, you can do whatever you want. You can go out on your own and establish your own brokerage if you'd like. Now, while I don't recommend that, it's something that some agents do. When you're looking at brokerages, there's some important factors to consider when you're making your decision. Understanding the 3 different brokerage models is probably the most important, so I'll review those with you right now. The first one are national franchises. You probably know these as RE/MAX, Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, and more. These national franchises have offices all over the country that are all independently owned and operated. And what that means is each office is a little bit different, has different management, has different owners, may have different training. And while there are differences between offices, they still operate under one national franchise. The second type of brokerage is a boutique brokerage. This may be your local small brokerage, maybe a family-owned business. Usually these brokerages are very small and have a limited number of agents and, quite frankly, a limited number of resources. But it's good to go and speak to local brokerages to find out what they're all about. It may be a good fit for you. The third type of brokerage is a newer type of brokerage and what we call a virtual brokerage. Now, a virtual brokerage works exactly the same way as a boutique style brokerage or a national franchise. The only difference is there are no offices. There are no physical brick and mortar offices. Now, the benefit to that is that it saves on costs. And some companies, such as eXp Realty, will share the cost savings back with their agents. And that's one of the reasons why I chose to be at eXp Realty. The benefits of working with a virtual brokerage fee are higher commission splits, sharing of revenue, a lot of ancillary benefits that traditional brick and mortar franchises and boutique style brokerages simply cannot offer to their agents. And those are the three types of brokerages to give you an idea of what to look for when you're out looking for a brokerage that meets the needs that fits you and your business.
Thank you for this opportunity.
As a side note here, it's also a good idea to look at company culture. Does the brokerage require additional courses and training? Do they offer a mentorship program for new agents? Do they offer you ownership and a share in the revenue? Are you required to do all of your own marketing? There are so many questions that can come up when you're looking to make a decision for your brokerage. Those are just a few of them to help you along the way.
Nice.
Also within the brokerages, you want to know about commission splits, right? How are you getting paid? How much do you get to keep? How much do you pay the company? So make sure and understand the company's commission structures. The first structure is a traditional split plan in which the agent pays a certain percentage of the commission to the brokerage. Now, depending on what the brokerage is offering and what the splits are, you could go anywhere from a 90% to you, 10% to the brokerage, all the way down to a 30% for you and a 70% to the brokerage. So make sure when you're looking at commission splits that you can see the value in what you're paying to the company. The second type of commission split is what's called a high split commission. And what this means is that the agent's always getting a higher percentage of the commission. But on the flip side, they usually have higher desk fees, office fees, paying for the traditional brick and mortar office. So there's a give and take when it comes to the higher split commission. And then of course there's the third type, which is a hybrid of both. And in many cases you have a really good commission split and have very limited or no office fees depending on what type of office. Of course, it's going to be more expensive in a traditional brick and mortar versus a virtual company. And the last thing to mention here when it comes to commission, and something very important which in many cases gets overlooked, is in the franchise model. There are franchise fees that agents usually pay on every single transaction. These fees can range anywhere from 5 to 8% in some cases. So make sure and ask these brokers if there are franchise fees involved, if they cap out, or if they're in perpetuity, meaning they are forever. Because it may not seem like a lot for each transaction individually, but collectively, these can add up to tens of thousands of dollars each year, simply paying for a franchise name and logo.
Ooh la la.
All right, now you've earned your license, you've found a sponsoring brokerage, and it's time to get started. Well, not quite just yet.
There's more.
In order to call yourself a realtor, you're going to need to join the National Association of Realtors. And in joining the National Association of Realtors, you'll also be joining your state association of realtors and a local board of realtors. This designation is also a requirement to participate in your MLS. That is your multiple listing service. Now, each area, each state, each region has their own multiple listing service. This is where you'll be putting your listings in. This is where you'll be searching for homes for your buyers. And in some cases, this is where you'll be writing your contracts to buy and sell, filling out your disclosures and addendums, and all of the paperwork that goes into a real estate transaction. Now, if you're not a member of the National Association of Realtors, you can still call yourself a real estate agent. You just can't use the realtor name. But I gotta be honest with you, your earning potential is going to be limited by not having access to the MLS. Your business opportunities will be limited by not having access to the MLS. So it's a really good idea to become a realtor. Not to mention the fact that most of the brokerages that I mentioned before require all of their agents to be members of the National Association of Realtors. All right, number 8 is a little bit getting ahead of ourselves, but something to remember when it comes to getting your real estate license, and that is making sure to keep it active. So don't forget to renew it. Check your state's requirements and regulations for how often that you need to renew your license. You'll also be required to take some continuing education. So you want to check with your state and see what the continuing education requirements are in order for you to renew your license. And there you have your 8 steps to getting a real estate license. Becoming a real estate agent is a big decision requiring time, some money, and some effort. But the result is almost unlimited earning potential and the opportunity to build a business of your dreams. To be your own boss, make the money that you want to make, spend the time with the people that you want to spend. And also keep in mind along the way that success doesn't happen overnight. So stay committed and stay consistent, and it will absolutely pay off in the long run. So if you're ready to get started in real estate today, there's a link down below where you can get started today. You can also learn about our scholarship program where you don't pay anything to go to real estate school. So make sure and click the link down below so that you can get started right away and get started the right way. Thanks for watching another Modern Agent video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure and hit the subscribe button down below. If you got value out of this video, go ahead and give it a like or share it with someone who you think needs to hear this as well. And until next time and until the next video, see